Hello and welcome to Jewish World Weekly on I-24 News. I'm Emily Francis. Every week, we're focusing on stories, issues, and personalities of Jewish interest here in Israel, as well as throughout the diaspora, the global Jewish community. And we start with our top 5 items in the Jewish world, presented by our very own Nicole Zedek. Nicole.
Thanks, Emily. Here are the top 5 items in the Jewish world this week. Australian Parliament passed some tough anti-hate crime laws, including mandatory minimum sentences for terror offenses and displaying hate symbols. This comes amid a rise in anti-Semitic attacks, including graffiti, physical attacks, and even a foiled attempt to bomb a Melbourne synagogue. The laws will impose minimum jail sentences between 12 months for less serious hate crimes, such as giving a Nazi salute in public, and 6 years for those found guilty of terrorism offenses. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the nominee to become the U.S. Health Secretary, has refuted claims that he believed COVID-19 was engineered to avoid Ashkenazi Jews. In his Senate confirmation hearing, RFK Jr. was pushed on his 2023 statement that, quote, COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and Black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people. He says he does not believe that COVID was deliberately targeted and that he was quoting studies from the National Institutes of Health. Family and friends have paid their respects to Ian Epstein, who was one of the flight attendants on American Eagle Flight 5342, which crashed into an Army plane above the Potomac River. The 53-year-old was an alumnus of the Jewish youth group BBYO, and he was buried in a Jewish ceremony in North Carolina. May his memory be a blessing. Rapper Snoop Dogg has teamed up with NFL legend Tom Brady for a Super Bowl ad calling out anti-Semitism. The ad shows the two men facing each other, listing off the things they hate about each other, such as how they look or where they grew up. It was paid for by New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft and his organization, the Foundation to Combat Anti-Semitism. And that wasn't the only Super Bowl ad with a Jewish flavor. Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal have reprised their roles from the 1989 film When Harry Met Sally in an advert for Hellmann's Mayonnaise. Parodying the iconic fake orgasm scene, the ad takes place inside Katz's Deli, the Jewish New York landmark where the scene was originally shot more than 35 years ago. So now you know exactly what she's having. Now, those are your top 5 items in the Jewish world this week. Back to you, Emily.
Under President Trump's directive, the U.S. Justice Department has launched a task force aimed at combating anti-Semitism in schools and on college campuses. Here's more from our Emma Siegel.
The U.S. has seen a sharp rise in anti-Semitism since the outbreak of the Israel-Hamas war in October 2023. Now, the Justice Department has launched a task force to combat discrimination against Jews, specifically on college campuses. According to a survey published by the Anti-Defamation League and Hillel International, some 83% of Jewish American college students have experienced or witnessed anti-Semitism firsthand since October 7, 2023, with 41% of those polled saying they felt the need to hide their Jewish identity on campus. Senior counsel to the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, Leo Terrell, is set to lead the task force. He said in a statement that anti-Semitism in any environment is repugnant to this nation's ideals. The force will also include officials from the Justice Department, Department of Education, as well as Health and Human Services. This comes on the heels of President Trump's executive order signed on January 30th that allows, quote, unprecedented steps to marshal all federal resources to combat the explosion of anti-Semitism on campuses.
We will deport the foreign jihad sympathizers, and we will deport them very quickly, and Hamas supporters will be gone. If you hate America, if you want to eliminate Israel, then we don't want you in our country. We really don't want you in our country. I will ban refugee settlements from terror-infested areas like the Gaza Strip, and we will arrest the pro-Hamas thugs who vandalize federal property and make really life very, very difficult.
And now the Trump administration is opening new investigations into allegations of anti-Semitism on 5 U.S. college campuses: Columbia, the University of California, Berkeley, the University of Minnesota, Northwestern University, and Portland State University. Only 1 month into his second term, Trump has emphasized that combating anti-Semitism will be a central focus of his administration.
We are now joined by I-24 News senior U.S. correspondent Mike Wagenheim, joining us from the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Hello, Mike. Tell us more about this task force, how it's going to be implemented, and President Trump saying it's going to be quick. So explain how.
I'll leave that to President Trump to explain how it's going to be. Listen, when you form these sorts of task forces and committees and these grand strategies, it all comes down to the execution. We saw the Biden administration, to great fanfare, launch their national strategy to combat anti-Semitism. It essentially went nowhere. There's no evidence that it achieved anything of substance in terms of rooting out or even further monitoring anti-Semitism within the United States. So we hear about these pronouncements, we hear about these statements. It's all about the execution. Now, the Trump administration has certainly been more vocal about their opposition to anti-Semitism, to purveyors of anti-Semitism here in the United States. When you look down the list in terms of the actions in the House, the actions in the Senate, it's more of substance than it was from the Democratic side, which makes one feel, at least in the abstract, that they'll be quicker to implement these types of reforms that they're looking to do. When you look specifically at the investigations that the Department of Education just opened up, these are different in practice than the investigations opened up by previous administrations, not just Biden but others, in that they're not reactive to specific complaints. When they're reactive to specific complaints from students, from faculty, from administrators, the investigations can only touch on those specific complaints. They can't really address broader anti-Semitic practices and more concerning practices. These investigations that were opened up within the last few days, they cover everything. They're not in reaction to a specific complaint. They're in reaction to just broad problems that have been detected at those specific universities. That is one way in which you can be more efficient with the use of the resources than maybe past administrations have.
All right. Thank you very much. I-24 News senior U.S. correspondent Mike Wagenheim. We're now being joined from New York by Rabbi and Dr. Ari Burman, the president of Yeshiva University in New York, and happened to give the beautiful benediction at President Trump's inauguration last month. Thank you very much for being here, and we really enjoyed watching you take part in this experience, being the one with the honor to represent the Jewish people and giving the benediction. Tell us how it came about and what that experience was like for you.
Thank you, Emily. It's so wonderful to be here with you. Certainly very humbling to stand at the midst of the rotunda and lead a prayer for the nation that went throughout the world, representing the Jewish people, our community, our earnest wishes, prayers, and blessings at this time of significance for Israel and for everyone.
And overall, did you feel it was a warm welcome? Were people really listening to the words that you had to say? Did you feel people were taking that all in?
Absolutely, and it's a very important point. Thank you for raising it. The overwhelmingly positive feedback that I've heard, both in the Jewish community and beyond, really throughout the globe, is so encouraging. And one of my key messages that I think Israelis should know and that all Jews should know is that you can be strongly pro-Israel. Non-Jews respect Jews, respect their tradition. All across America, you have people who respect the Jewish people and who love Israel. And, I was able to stand there and be very strong in my support, and people are very appreciative of that.
And also, you said that the president really acutely feels the pain of the hostages and, so many families, also the United States. We saw the release of Keith Siegel, but we also have the Nutras, for example, Omer Nutra, an American citizen, killed, body still held in Gaza. You feel that Trump really does have, have an emotional connection to what people are going through?
There is no question that the hostages are of utmost priority to the president, his envoy, Steve Witkoff, doing an amazing job I've spoken with Steve beforehand and now during. This is really a top priority for the president and this administration. And we already saw, even before he started, just by his threat and ultimatum, that something needs to happen before his inauguration. We saw what happened. So this is certainly an urgent priority for them, and we are seeing the results.
And do you think overall, a lot of criticism, obviously, on both sides, people really not sure where it's going to go, and we're already seeing a lot of feathers being ruffled on many things. But overall, do you think that the overarching Jewish population has a reason to feel hopeful that things will get better as far as anti-Semitism and whatnot?
Yeah, I don't think there's a question that there's reason to feel better. But this is a long haul. This is a very deeply rooted situation. I thought you actually just said it best in the previous segment, which is if you're talking about, for example, on university campuses, this is a systemic problem. It's rooted in professors who are tenured, who advocate for a very superficial worldview of oppressed and oppressor, place the Jew in a very strange dichotomy and place blame on Israel where it's undeserved. So I think the administration has already taken great steps and will continue to defend the Jewish people and defend Jewish students, but we also have to know that this is a deeply rooted issue, as is anti-Semitism, and there's no one magic way that it's going to be resolved.
Well, and it's rearing its ugly head in so many ways. Yes, you could kick out the non-visa, non-citizens that are protesting, but like you said, I myself have been with many of the delegations that have come here, and you're seeing, like at UCLA, for example, a video of a professor saying, Jews are not, a race, they're a religion, seeing caricatures in, basic medical ethics in the medical school, and like we saw at Columbia, a lot of these professors being a part of these marches. I mean, is there a solution to cleaning that up? Because that's very dangerous for future generations and the future of the Jewish people.
There's no question. Look, we, of course, do not see any of these issues at Yeshiva University, the university that I am president of. And I'm happy to say there are many other universities that similarly are not rife with this type of anti-Semitism. One of the major efforts after October 7th for me was to find the coalition of universities that were able to stand with Israel against Hamas. I gathered over 100 university presidents, major public and private, faith-based universities, historically black colleges and universities, who were able to stand with Israel and stand against terrorism. And there are other university options. It is important for Jewish families to think about the universities that they're sending their children to. There are a lot of positive options too. Certainly been one of my areas of focus, which is to help rally the allies and show the community, the Jewish community and beyond, who can stand with the truth and stand with moral clarity. And we should consider supporting and being a part of those universities.
Wow, beautifully said. Thank you very much, Rabbi and Dr. Ari Burman. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you for the great work you're doing.
Oh, thank you very much. The American group Jewish Voice for Peace is the world's said largest Jewish organization standing in solidarity with Palestine. Their anti-Israel views have been broadcast all over the country, including protests at the Capitol, as well as outside the home of Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer during and around Passover. But now the controversial group is facing the music by being sued. The lawsuit seeking to impose a $700,000 fine for fraudulently receiving COVID-19 relief funds in 2020 when they should have been barred from doing so because their group is primarily engaged in political acts. This lawsuit was filed by David Abrams, the executive director of the Zionist Advocacy Center. I spoke to him earlier about why he filed the suit and what can come from it. So this is quite a challenge to take this on. What made you go after this organization?
Well, I've been doing pro-Israel work for about 10 years now, and I'm aware of all the various organizations that are going against Israel. So it's not just Jewish Force for Peace. If you search, you'll see that I have similar matters that have been unsealed and settled against the Institute for Policy Studies, the group Americans for Peace Now, the Middle East Institute, and so on.
So you're seeing it, Sean. I mean, one of the disturbing things is you see this organization. It's a lot of young Jews that are also participating. We've seen this. I saw the protests in Brooklyn last Passover. What is that disturbing to see that there are many people that are taking on this this cause without necessarily knowing all the facts?
Somewhat, yes. Although, from my perspective, Jewish Voice for Peace is not as Jewish as they claim to be. In my view, a lot of the people there are either not Jewish at all or remotely Jewish. So, to me, obviously, it's disturbing if anyone's going against Israel, Jewish or not.
Yeah. So, what is the plans for how to take this fine and how to collect on this fine?
Well, the case was settled, so the money's already been paid. Everything is done, unsealed. The case is over, so it's been paid.
So what does that mean for the future of this organization? Is it something that's going to set them back, you think, because of obviously funding?
Right. Well, obviously that's not the end of the organization. This is just one step, and I'm doing things, I'm filing lawsuits, and my view is if other people in the pro-Israel community, if we all do our thing, it really adds up to a lot.
Mm-hmm. So tell us more about the next plans for the Zionist Advocacy Center.
Well, I have numerous cases pending. A lot of them are under seal, so I can't really discuss them. But one of the areas that I'm working in is going against boycotts of Israel. So there's businesses that announce that they won't serve Israeli customers or Israeli businesses. So that's another area I'm working in. And, I can't speak about it too much, but we're in the process of filing a lawsuit just now in Orange County Superior Court in California on an anti-Israel boycott.
Wow, you are a busy man indeed. Thank you very much for joining us. David Abrams, Executive Director of the Zionist Advocacy Center.
All right, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
During these challenging times in the world, the show must go on. It's been awards season with the annual Grammys and Golden Globes already taking center stage. And with next month's Academy Awards, a host of Jewish performers have been nominated for awards for music, film, and in some cases even winning. Here's more from Joe Brown.
Award season is well underway, and among the glitz and glamour, Jewish faces and voices shine. Production Supremo Mark Ronson won his 9th Grammy for Best Remixed Recording for his remix of Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso. He had previously won Grammys for his work with other Jewish musicians Amy Winehouse and Bruno Mars. Legendary film composer Hans Zimmer picks up Grammy number 5 for his work on the score for the film Dune Part 2. This was his first Grammy since 2009. And Jewish video producer Sam Kanter picked up the award for Best Music Video of the Year for Kendrick Lamar's song Not Like Us, a diss track directed at Canadian Jewish rapper Drake. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift's trusted producer Jack Antonoff went home empty-handed after his 5 nominations for his work with Swift and Sabrina Carpenter. Up-and-coming star Gracie Abrams, daughter of Star Wars director JJ, was nominated for her duet with Taylor Swift. And 2 Jews were nominated in the same category, Best Pop Dance Recording, but both Madison Beer and Troye Sivan unfortunately lost out to Charlie XCX. Meanwhile, the film award season is in full swing, with Jewish films and personalities a common feature on the circuit. Sweeping up the awards is The Brutalist, a film about a Hungarian architect who moves to America after surviving a concentration camp. Its non-Jewish lead Adrian Brody is fighting Timothée Chalamet for Best Actor in multiple awards, including the BAFTAs, Screen Actors Guild, and the Oscars. Chalamet, who is of Russian and Austrian Jewish descent, plays Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown, directed by James Mangold, the only Jew nominated for Oscars in directing and adapted screenplay this year. Another Jewish film tipped to win big is A Real Pain, a comedy drama about two cousins who go on a Holocaust-themed trip around Poland to honour their late grandmother. Kieran Culkin, who is not Jewish, has swept the awards for Best Supporting Actor, whilst his co-star and director Jesse Eisenberg is up for Best Original Screenplay.
Yeah, this story came from a million different things. One is that it's like very personal in the sense that it's about where my family is from. We even filmed the movie inside the house where my family lived up until 1939. So it's this very personal element.
Elsewhere, Mikey Madison is battling it out for a Best Actress Oscar win for her role in Honora, while songwriter Diane Warren is hoping to win her first Oscar for Best Original Song on her 16th attempt.
Love is certainly blind, whether you can see or not. Our next guest has become a household name in the UK and around the world during and after the first season of the show Love is Blind. And we are happy to have Sam Klein here. He's ruffled some feathers by his Jewish and Israeli advocacy, but is here to talk about taking on the rising wave of anti-Semitism. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is
amazing.
amazing.
I know you feel safer here right now than you have in the UK. Explain what happened, how your experience advocating post-October 7th then affected your life once the show aired in the summer.
Absolutely. So for me personally, taking away the show side of things, after October the 7th, something in me really wanted to help the Jewish community and the Israelis after seeing all the hostages being taken, the terrible, terrible scenes on October the 7th. I woke up the next day and said, I have to do something. And I'm not the most religious person. I love Judaism, but I'm just not that in touch with it since I was a kid. So for me, I was like, what can I do to help? And I jumped on the platform TikTok, and I spent a good part of a year going live every single day with a community of people around the world to fight for the release of the hostages and to fight for Israel, the country Israel, which I'd only ever been to once when I was about 14 years old.
Wow.
So yeah.
It is something in everyone that really woke up on that day, because of course, as we know, there's literal, different level. It's something that all of us experience on some level, but the advocating part and taking that next step is what I feel has been a very important component of this, is people that were not influencers just being thrown into that. So explain how you dealt with the backlash once this show aired in the UK and everybody put two and two together.
Absolutely. So yeah, so then essentially once the show came out, after about a year later, in the August of the year after, the show came out, and I think a lot of the people in the Palestinian movement actually recognized myself from the lives, and the word spread very quickly. So there was actually viral videos going around with millions of views on TikTok saying, Sam the dirty Zionist, oh my God, how can the show Netflix allow him to be on their platform? This is a disgrace, he shouldn't be allowed to be on a show like Netflix. They all wanted to boycott the show, and this spread quick. I mean, these were picking up millions of views. Suddenly my inbox was absolutely full of the most disgusting messages that I don't wish on anyone. Like, there was the aspect of the show of maybe being the not so popular person on the show, but then this was 10 times worse. This was like something I don't wish on anyone. Some of the messages, how they wished I wasn't alive, how they wished that my mum was in Gaza, and the things that they did to the hostages happened to my mum. Yeah, it was beyond belief. Everything they could do to try and bring me down, they did. So throughout the show, every week the show aired new episodes, and each week while the show was being aired, they were just targeting me. But having said that, I would not change the fact that what I did for Israel. I did so much for this country because I believe in it, and my pathway has led me to being here now for different reasons, and I couldn't be happier, and I think everything happens for a reason. That's
For sure. And I mean, it takes such bravery. I mean, you actually feel unsafe in the UK.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So obviously now I have to be very careful. So where I live even, if I turn right, I know that's a bit more dodgy for me. I always turn left to get the train that side because I can't go to certain high streets where there's a population of people who, let's just say, aren't on our side. So there's certain steps I have to take. I've changed my name on my Uber account. I go by a fake name on my delivery. So if I want a delivery, it's all fake names. So they have no idea where I live because I'm scared that, eventually they will be on my doorstep.
And you also were saying that they were, a lot of things we didn't see on the news is paint being thrown at Jewish people's homes. Like, this has happened continuously?
Yeah. So after every Saturday, there was protest for the Palestinian movement. They would then go to Jewish neighborhoods in London, the neighborhood I live in. They actually threw red paint all over the front doors of all the Jewish houses. I mean, this is like something you see in World War II, like during the Holocaust. Like, it's literally like we've gone back in time and we're literally reliving these moments.
So it sounds like it's time for you to move to Israel.
I think it's my calling card. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And being here in the wake of this, after 14, right after your bar mitzvah, it's pretty incredible that this is what has brought you to come back here.
Absolutely. Like I said, I think it's really unfortunate that it's taken something like October the 7th to rekindle my love and find my love and passion for such an amazing place and the people of Israel. But unfortunately, we are where we are. And, we can't allow this to ever happen again. And if it means people like myself moving here and making this place stronger and talking about it on my social media and being proud to be Jewish and be proud to be Zionist, I think this is what it takes. And I think we use social media to our advantage now.
Right. And now you found yourself a nice Jewish girl here in Israel. So the two of you together are taking on the world.
I would say so, yeah. I mean, she's more powerful than me as well. So, she puts me in the right place sometimes as well. But no, she's been amazing. She's been my rock. She's been my support. She's really helped me through my darkest moments. And we've come out the other side, and she's invited me to come stay with her in Israel, which is why I'm here now. And I think she's basically just shown me that this is the place to be. So I think the process of making Aliyah is going to be becoming a quicker process.
Wow.
We need to make it happen.
Wow, amazing. Sam Klein, thank you so much. And it's great to have voices like yours who are really able to influence and to go straight to do it without even thinking twice. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
That's all for this week's episode of Jewish World Weekly. We sure hope you enjoyed it. I'm Emily Francis. Please feel free to head over to I-24 News' YouTube channel to catch up on previous episodes and reports. Thank you so much for watching, and shalom from Tel Aviv.